In this video, I will show you how routers and filters work in Make.com. We will set the scenario that gets data from a Google form and then use router and filters to send this data to one of two Google Sheets depending on what is included in this data. Google Forms gives you an option to export responses to Google Sheets. However, in the case of this automation, it will work in such a way that data will be sent to different sheets depending on the selected country and will be filled right away in the selected place in the previously prepared sheet. Okay, what we have here is a Google Forms module that gets data from our form. This is the form here. And while filling the form, you have the option to choose the country, either USA or France. We want our scenario to send the data either to the client's USA database, this is the client's USA sheet, or to the client's France sheet, this is the client's France sheet. Depending on the selection made on the country drop-down menu, this is the drop-down menu, you can see US and France. To set up our scenario this way, let's start by adding a router. Now the first thing is to create a router, and we can do this by moving to Tools section. Click on the flow control and choose the router. Just click on that. A router will appear on your screen. This is one way of adding router. There is another way. You just move to the link chain and here right click and then you'll get the option that add a router. You can click on it and you can see that another router is added. But I don't need this, so I'm deleting this module. Now to connect this router with the Google Forms, just link it. A router is a tool that allows you to branch your workflows onto separate paths. Routers are useful for processing data towards separate outputs and process data differently depending on your needs. Now we want to send data to different Google Sheets depending on what country was selected in the form. Here you can see the first sheet is for the clients of USA and the second sheet is for the clients of France. Now to populate these two Google Sheets, we need to add some Google Sheets here. Just click on the router and then here click on Google Sheets. You'll have the option to add a row, and in the connection section I'm adding my Gmail here. And then choosing a method, select by path, choose a drive, my drive, and here you need to put the spreadsheet ID. So click here to choose a file. I'm getting inside the Make.com. I need to get inside this automation version 2 and I want to select this sheet, that is client database divided by country. Now I need to insert the sheet name. The sheet name should be clients USA. And here you can see automatically the values are collected from the sheets, that name, email, phone number, company and source, company size. If I move back to client database, then here you can see in this sheet, the headings are name, email, phone number, company, source and company size. That means our Google Sheet is now connected. Now to populate this thing in the Google Sheet, we need to do mapping. But before doing that, you need to make sure that you are receiving data in Google Forms. For that, you need to establish connection and you need to put the form ID. If you don't remember the form ID, then you need to move to the client details section. From here you can pick this ID. This is the form ID. Just copy this and paste it inside the form ID section. Click on OK. And now run the scenario once to check if the Google Forms is receiving data. Now one bundle is popped up, that means we are receiving the data from Google Forms. Now come back to Google Sheets again, and in here inside this I want to map the values and just get inside these, and from the answers I need to get the name. Move to the text answers, then to the answers and take the value from here. So the name will appear here, and then I need the email. So move to this section, get the email, get inside the text answers and then take the value from here. Now for the company size, go inside the company size option and go to the text answers, select the value. Now these all are set, and since we are getting the info from the Google form, so we can write the source as form. Then click on OK. Now our Google Sheet is ready. Now add another sheet. Just click on the Google Sheets and then add a row and then do the same thing here. Then get inside the folder, automation version 2, client database divided by country. Now I want to specify my sheet name. This sheet is for clients France. Now here you can see I have all the values. Now map the values that you require. Name, text answers, value. And then I need the email, text answers, answers value. The source should be form, and then the company size. Go inside the company size, move to the text answers, answers, and then value. So all are set. Now click on OK. Now to visualize the order of the data flow, we can move to the explain flow option down below and click on that. This will visually illustrate the route that data in our scenario will follow. In the description of this video, you can find a link to our free Automations Essentials Kit, which contains a list of tools for building automations and a list of educational resources from which you can learn more about automations. So you can grab your free copy today. Just go to the link in the description of this video. Now to send the data to the USA client sheet or to the France client sheet, we need to use a filter. A filter is a tool that allows specific data to be passed or restricted within the flow of a scenario. To add a filter, just left click on the link chain and the filter will open. And there is another way to open this. Just right click on the chain and here you can see this setup a filter option and click on that. The first thing that you need to enter is the label. Then you need to enter the condition here. That means based on which condition you want to filter the result. In my case, I want to filter the result based on the country. Now move to the country and move to the text answers, and answers, take the value. Now there are different kinds of filters. If I click on that, you can see here basic operators, text operators, numeric operators, datetime operators, time operators, and there are some others. In the basic operators, you can see you have exist or does not exist option. Here you can see equal to, not equal to, contains, doesn't contain. These sorts of condition can be applied, but in our case we'll be using text operators and it will be equal to, as we'll be using text to filter, and inside here this text will be equal to USA. Click on OK, and in the same way we can apply another filter here and label it as France, and here we can apply the condition, should be based on the country. Move to the text answers and take the value from here, and our text operators would be France. Now I can click on OK. So now you can see USA and France filter is ready. Now if I move to the client details and run an example scenario, let's enter the name as example, then email as example and then country I'm selecting USA, and company size I'm selecting medium. Then submit. Now move back to make.com and run the scenario once. And here you can see one bundle is popped up on top of the USA Google Sheet, but we don't see any bundle here. If I move to the client database, then here you can see my client's USA sheet is filled with this information, that the name is example, the email is example, and the source is form, and the company size is medium. So our client's USA sheet is now populated with the Google Forms data. But if I move to client's France section, I can see there is nothing. Now if I move to the client details again and submit another response like example 2 at the email and the country from France, and I can choose the company size as large, submit, run the scenario once again, and here you can see now the bundle is popped up on top of the France Google Sheet. If I move to the client database, here you can see this data is appeared, example 2, source is form and company is large. Now the data is populated client's France datasheet. So this is a quick way of doing automations by using the routers and filters of make.com. Now let's try to apply some more filters here. Assume that I want to populate my client's USA sheet with the data of large companies only. So let's remove this and come back to the filters. And what can we do to collect the data for only the large companies of USA? We can get inside the filter and add another condition, that is add AND rule. And here the condition should be company size. Get inside the text answers, and take the value, and this company should be equal to large. So I'm setting the condition that text operators equal to large. Now you can see the data that will pass through this filter have to fulfill these two conditions. That means the country should be USA and the company should be large. So now move to the client details section, and here inside this fill up the form with something that test1 and then email test1 at something, and then choose the country as USA and company size equals small. Now submit. Run the scenario once. I just want to see if the data passes through this filter. Now you can see the data didn't pass through this filter because it's a small company. Again, I can move to the client details option, submit another response, and then name test4 @something, country USA, company size choose large. Now submit the form, come back to make.com, run the scenario once. Now you can see this data passed through the USA filter. If I move to the client database sheet, you can see this name, email, source, and company sizes. By the way, here we have the option to save our scenario. There is also an option to activate the scenario so it will run automatically. And when you click on schedule settings, you can choose exactly when it will run. If you'd like to learn more about automations, you can find a link to our free Automations Essentials Kit in the description of this video. It contains a list of tools you can use to build automations and a list of educational resources from which you can learn more about automations. So you can grab your free copy today. Just go to the link in the description of this video.